Man, it's so much to talk about, but there's something in particular that I want to talk about today, or this episode particularly. Um, I have a question for the ladies, and I have a question for the gentlemen. So, y'all brace yourselves because this is going to be a good one, I feel.
What's up, blessed ones? You are now blaring the podcast. Brought to you by AB1 Studios. Thank you for your time. Listening. You wanna know something else, blessed ones?
So, I want to know, and I'm going to just ask the women first because I feel like this is something that's, really a hot topic and has been a hot topic for a long time. I won't be able to say how or when it was really a thing, but and I understand the answer, or at least understand the concept of it, but why does it matter whether or not a man has money, especially when y'all are dating? Because, of course, everything costs money these days. But when you're dating, and of course, that can be, there's a number of things that you can do that requires money, that don't requires money. But why is that such a big thing, especially if y'all aren't not even in a committed, or I'll just say if y'all not even married, because dating is like an interview. And if you're even dating multiple people, then, that's something that, I do believe that women should consider, especially if you made it clear that y'all aren't exclusive. So why should he be exclusive, and why should he have to, spend 80, 200, $300 on a date? I think that's ridiculous. I know people do it. It ain't tricking if you get it, as they would say, but just really sitting back, reflecting, because I think I've mentioned this recently. Right now, I'm not on the market. I'm not looking. I'm not interested. And dating right now, I got to get some things in line, in order, because of circumstances and things. But why is it so important for a man to have money? And I'll even go beyond and say, why is it important for a man to have his own place? And this could even be something personal, but it's interesting. I would like to know give me some more detail on your stance with dating someone who is in a financially that has a financial advantage. Just now, and I'm just speaking of dating. I know that when you're married with someone, and even if you're committed to someone, not necessarily married, but you're in an exclusive relationship, money is important. But when it comes to dating, why is it so important? Why can't you pay the bill? Why can't you tip? Like, you know, why is there so much pressure on men to pay for everything? Because, as a man, you do have to lead. I do feel like you should be able to be a protector and provider. But I will say that I do feel and think that it only applies to marriage and more intimate relationships. It's just something that always just been on my mind. Because I'll tell you this story, and I'm not blaming the woman or women for any of it, because me as a man, I have to take accountability as well. I've always been, I've been in relationships, I've even been married, and whether my relationships were 50-50, whether I was paying for everything, I've never had to necessarily had to experience a woman that didn't give, that didn't, pay for things. I was married, and even like my ex-wife, she paid for quite a few responsibilities in our household, as did I. There was a time where I wasn't working. She was paying, and I think even a time when her father, rest in peace, to him, where he was helping out, even like my folks and everything. We have help. I think that's a difference as well. Like when you have a village and when you have people who care and love you and who wants to see you achieve, they will help. Also, could be even maybe recent, the most recent situation. Not the recent relationship I was in, but just like I was dating a woman or seeing a woman, involved with a woman in some way, and she was paying for a lot of things. We had went out a lot of times. There's been times where we would just be in the crib. She'll bring food, and she'll bring me stuff and do things, and I wasn't able to, do what I wanted to, because me as a man, like I said, I still want to be the provider. I still want to be able to, give a woman that comfort and safe space, and which I do. But it's like, I guess on a financial standpoint, I'm not as fortunate, regardless of why. But I was dealing with someone, and I made the conscious decision to not pay my rent, because I have a grace period and because I had two jobs, and I felt and believed that I'll be able to pay it last minute, such and such and such. This was when, at this time, I might have been 35 at this time, so maybe like 2 years ago. 2 years ago, just 2 years ago, I didn't pay my rent. We went out. I didn't spend all my money, but, I spent a good amount, and I came up short. And since then, the rest is history. And even from moving in with my brother to moving back home with my mom, mind you, I have a son, so it's like I made a conscious decision to not pay my rent because I wanted to, you know, take, be able to take out a woman that I was interested in. Because again, I don't have no degree. I don't have the experience to get these six-figure jobs. But like I said, it's not a matter of how much you make. It's more so how much you save, how much you keep. That's another story. But that's something that I always think about. And I'm like, man, things probably would have been a little bit different. But we live, we learn. And just recently, I've made it up in my mind and in my heart that it's like, I've been hearing you shouldn't date if you're not there financially. Shouldn't be worried about a relationship if you're not there financially. I mean, I'm not going to agree with it, but just because of the type of man that I am and the type of man that I want to be, I do feel the importance of it. But I'm asking the women, why do you feel, or why is it important for a man to, be able to provide for you and to pay for things if y'all are just dating? Also, I want to, add that I lost my train of thought for a second. But I also want to add is that, do you feel like as women that you shouldn't have to pay for anything, or a man shouldn't ask you for anything? Also, going to the men, and I guess this can be it's a two-part question, but going to the men, originally I wanted to know, like, why do looks matter so much? And my other part is like, does it matter if a woman has children and how many? Because everybody's different, but there seems to be a consensus overall that, women with kids kind of, their value isn't as high as it would be if they didn't, or at least unmarried women with children, with multiple children. And the thing about it is, it doesn't always go down to the matter of how many fathers that the children have. But why is it so important to us men that a woman should just be this angel and look like America's Next Top Model? Looks do matter to me. I'm not 100%. I wouldn't be able to explain why. I mean, I like nice things like anybody else, but it's like, I don't know. I think we're all conditioned to, want certain things and desire certain things. Like, I don't feel like somebody who you feel is unattractive, ugly, is, disqualified from, being loved, and I don't think that's what we even say. It's just like, yeah, you're cool, nice, but not for me. And I just feel like, why do we put so much value on how somebody looks physically? And I'm just talking about physically. I have a lot of reservations, especially when it comes to people who I allow in my life on a intimate level. But men, our standards aren't as high as women, I would say. But I guess it could just be based on, how much value you have as well. But just based on what I see, whether online or in person, or people that I know personally, it's like, man, we men don't care as much, doesn't really have that many standards when it comes to women. Like, I mean, we might care, like if you got a job or not, but it's like we don't care if you work at McDonald's. We don't care if you work at as a waitress. We don't care, if you're from this area or whatnot. It's just artificial because we got to pay for everything anyway. For me, I'll say, I have history, and I remember what I was going to say now. For me, I have a history, of dating, different women. I never dated a white woman or anything, but just me being a black man who dates black women. There's been women who were bigger than me. There's been women who were smaller than me. There was women who wasn't as they wasn't they what's the I guess I'm just say they wasn't dimes or anything. Like, I'm not that picky. It's because I've always been in relationships where there was a foundation built first. How that foundation came about is really irrelevant, but it's like I do have to know you, and in order for me to be in that position to even date you, we have to be in proximity. Even in my younger years, just coming out of high school, MySpace, this is MySpace time, I've had some online relationships, which of course, it is what it is at this point. I mean, I wasn't even driving, and I was, talking to this girl from Kansas. There's a girl in North Carolina. Then there was a girl in New York, girl in California. Now, this was before the iPhone. This was before the FaceTime and everything. Yeah. We send pictures. We'll talk on the phone all night. Phone sex, all that stuff. Again, I'm a teenager. So, as I get older, and I put myself out there a little bit more, I then date people who that I'm around. Now, but that's just really just something I was curious about. Because, we're talking nowadays on being submissive, like women should be submissive anyway. But one thing that people forget is that men also should be submissive. And, the 50-50 discussion, that's really case by case. There's nothing biblical about that. Men provide, protect, but overall, God is the true provider and protector. But again, there is God, man, woman, child. So, based on my faith, there's a center of relationship, which is God. I'm going to stand on this. Not everybody's going to agree, but I'm going to stand on this. And I didn't always subscribe to this. I believed it, but it was like I wasn't being obedient. And it's hard. It's very hard. It's harder for people who've already experienced sex in their relationship than it is for somebody who haven't. Because what you have to do is you have to reform and redevelop your heart. So for me now, my son's is 8 right now. And I was only married for under 2 years. It's been since, what was it, 2018? But, you know, I don't want to have any more children unless I have one, but I don't want to have any more children unless I am in a better position financially and also physically and mentally and spiritually. Because even another thing is, even like when I talk about attraction, that's why it's the one thing that I even say it could be men and women, is like, we're attracted to people. And I never want to say there's no such thing as people being ugly, but it's like there's some people who I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not attracted to you. So I wouldn't even put myself in a position to even know if you're a good person or this, because it's like I'm not. But see, I'm not shallow like that. There's a lot of men and women who they don't even necessarily talk to people who are unattractive at all, casually. But yeah, that was just something that I thought about, and honestly, I'm just like, because I talk about my friend about this all the time. Are we conditioned this way? Because I think the more people you're attracted to, and the more people are attracted to you, those options is just kind of like slim. Like it's just gonna broaden out. Like for me, the way that I now look at people, I mean, it's not lustful, but it's like you look good, you dress well, you smell nice, whatever. Even if I'm seeing you on Instagram, but it's like you look good, but it's like, hey, I don't know you. So like even for me, like I never been somebody who was out there. I never led with money. I never, try to look good. Like I always just been, look good. Like I'll have my clothes, I'll put my fit on, I'll put my lotion, my spray, or whatever I put on. But it's like it's something that's just natural to me. So whoever was attracted to me was attracted to me. Whoever wasn't. I get it. I understand. I respect it. It's just certain things where it's like, hey, if if you're dating with a purpose, then that's the thing. I should say that if you're dating with a purpose, how significant is looks, how significant is money, and how significant is living your purpose. Me as a man and a man of faith, I realized a long time ago, as a man, I have to be a leader. I have to provide and do these things. But now that I'm, really like it really clicked. It just now clicked though. Like you can know certain things and realize certain things, but it don't always click. But because it finally clicked for me, now that I got all this stuff I have like that I'm backed up on. Now that I'm like looking like a burrito hamburger. Now that I'm back at home, like I'm literally starting everything from scratch. But it's just certain things that I think about, and I say, man, we have to start. We have to start looking at ourselves internally and say, what type of person I am and what type of person I want to be. Because one thing that we have to do in order to be the person that you want to be, you have to look at who you are right now and fix it. Not saying that there's an issue, it's just you have to reflect on a lot of the issues that you're struggling with. I'm gonna be done after this. I struggle with eating, and that's been a thing as well. I don't work out every day, exercise every day like I would like, but my hygiene is always going to be top tier. It's just I'm not taking better care of my body. I don't go to the doctor as I like, because even as a man, I can't speak for all men, but I'll speak for myself. It's like if I don't feel if I don't feel bad or feel sick, then I'm not like it. Like literally have to be life or death in order for me to go to the doctor or the hospital. Now, as far as like physicals and checking for different disease and stuff, I mean, I don't do anything, so I don't necessarily feel the need to go all the time. Maybe once a year I'll do physicals, but I do have to be better at checking, getting my blood checked, checking for see if there's any cancer, disease, or anything. I have to check that. It's not something that you're just gonna know. But as I reclaim my relationship with Christ, with God, and as I learn myself more, as I'm really focused on being a father, making sure I'm raising my son at the way that he should go. I'm at home. I'm at home at my mom's. Sometimes I sleep on the bed, sometimes I sleep on the couch. I'm not ashamed to say it. I was for a long time, or at least when I lost my apartment, because it's like, I mean, I don't want to sit here and tell people I live there, but I mean, we go through hard times sometimes, and that's the thing where it's like I'm not on the field, so I don't have to fake the funk. I don't even know how to fake the funk, but my point is like I don't have to be ashamed, because that's why I'm not dating, because I want to be able to take care of my woman. I want to be able to go places, because I have, like I say this all the time, I have a lot of aspirations, not a lot ambition. My ambition is there, but it's not as big as my aspirations. But when I pray, my goals, my purpose, my priorities, sometimes we sell ourselves short because we want things now. And since I'm discussing dating, we want to be able to take a lady out. Men, some men don't like to date, but we want to be able to, like, if we don't have to put the work in, we won't. And I'm not going to say that's our fault. That's where that will fall on the woman, because I always say, like, we will have to do anything anyway. Women will make more money than a man and still expect the man to pay, and that's perfectly fine. But my only thing is, are you someone who expects men to pay every single time? I was on this TikTok live, and the woman was like, hey, yeah, she don't date men who make less than her, and she doesn't pay. Like, if she's in a relationship, you're paying. Forget about the fact that he got his own bills. Forget about the fact that y'all don't live together. Forget about the fact that y'all are just dating, or even if y'all are exclusive. Like, why is your responsibility his if y'all aren't even living together? But that's all I just wanted to know. So if anybody's listening and want to answer, wants to add to it, want to chime in, please feel free. Questions, suggestions, requests. I'm always available. Just the link's there. But as always, stay safe, stay prosperous, productive, and positive. And this is Blair, and I'm out.